1.5 hours, with all the agenda items and everything. So the indicators have changed already. My name is Pradeep Nayak, and I'm really, really happy to see a lot of people that I have already met and a lot of people that I have been interacting over the last year or so in connection with this project. But it's also really great to put a name to the face and see, face to face many of you. Um, I want to start the meeting by recognizing all the support and the help and work that everybody has done over years to get to this stage. It would have been really ideal if we met in person. That would have been a different scenario altogether. But we do what we have, in our capacity today. You all have received an agenda, so we are going to run through the agenda one by one. Um, but the first thing is, I would give you a brief presentation about V2V, and then we would try to hear from as many people as we can. And there is a process for that. And so we'll hear from the countries, you will hear from students, you will hear from other people, and then we'll look at the future. And that's the entire agenda. Give me 1 second as I share my screen. Again, if we all mute ourselves, and except myself, of course, and then following the presentation, we can have some discussion. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay. So, this presentation is meant to give you an overview of a lot of things that you already know. But I will touch on some of the key aspects of the project so that we all are on common grounds and we are able to discuss something and look into the future together. So this project, as you already know, yeah. So today we are about 100 people and about 70 organizations represented by 31 universities, 15 government institutions, and 21 NGOs and civil society organizations. And this group already has a rich tradition of working together. Many people have worked with each other in different capacities. And now we come together to in the context of this project, to implement this project, which is about V2V. The collective interest is in transdisciplinary research, community engaged research, in understanding how we can move from vulnerability to viability in relation to small scale fisheries in 12 countries, 6 in Asia and 6 in Africa. When we started this project several years back, we had some understanding of vulnerability and understanding of viability. As a genesis, this project started several years back, and it took actually 4 years to get to the point where we can actually agree to apply for the LOI. So the discussion started in 15 and 16, and then in 2019, we put in the LOI. So it took a lot of time in terms of deciding. We started with a solid understanding of vulnerability and viability. We put in the project, and I remember when we were asked to join an interview with CERC on 5th of March, I came back from India on the 3rd of March, I remember they asked 3 people from B2B to join the interview. So Ratana Chungpagdi and Paul Onyango were also at the interview. So Paul came from Tanzania to Waterloo. I returned from India on the 3rd. Ratana came from Spain. And we did the interview. Ratana goes back, and then she's quarantined. On the 12th of March, a global pandemic was announced by WHO. And gradually, Paul was able to return, and then we got pushed into a different world altogether. So as you can see, the context of vulnerability, the context of viability that we started talking about and really comprehended it in the project has drastically changed. So there are new opportunities and there are new challenges that have come in, and that will stay with the project as we move forward to implement this. The challenge is now, how do we move forward and really make progress in implementing this 8-year long project, and many promises, many aspirations that we have built as part of this project. As a starting point, I propose that we look at certain things. They include the roles and responsibilities. They include what mechanisms and processes we need to put in place, and what opportunities and spaces we can create for each other. We are 100. We will grow into more than 100 people and other institutions joining. So what opportunities and spaces we can create for people to work on this, the goals and objectives of this project and contribute in a meaningful way. What could be some of the key timelines and deliverables, so we can talk and come up with this project. And the final point is about what would make it successful is, of course, our efforts, but also how do we reallocate the resources and revisit our commitments that we have made at certain point in time, and then go forward. So how do we create space, and how do we create opportunities? CERC, in the partnership grant, assigned some roles to each one of these projects. So you will find that this project has collaborators, this project has partner organizations, this project has co-applicants, and of course there is a principal investigator, that leads the project itself. Partner organizations make active contributions and meaningful contributions, and then they also contribute in cash and kind. They support the activities of the partnership. Collaborators make significant contributions and provide intellectual direction. They play a significant role in conducting research and research-related activities. Co-applicants do the same thing, but co-applicants do these things without the MAY, which you will find in the case of collaborators. So collaborators may make significant contributions, and co-applicants must make significant contributions. And the principal investigator, of course, then leads and tries to keep everything flowing together well. Of course, in a decentralized model, in a leadership framework where everybody contributes, this one person cannot do everything on its or her own. So this is a collaborative effort. If you look at all the roles that is assigned by CERC, everybody makes significant contributions and provides a direction from whichever level they are. So everybody makes contributions, and that's the key to moving forward. There are a number of ways that we see, we all getting engaged and contributing and benefiting also, making this project successful. And I will just outline a few of them, and then we can have some discussion. The first point is engaging in and contributing to the V2V research. We are very clear about our objectives. We have objectives to co-produce and comprehensive understanding of V2V using a common framework, which is IADAP. We are committed to develop a database to capture all the case studies, all the diversities of knowledge that we generate, and create a resource portal that can be used by not only this particular group and members of this group, but communities, facing communities around the world, and organizations around the world. We want to engage in transdisciplinary capacity development. We want to synthesize our learning for benefit of policy, benefit of governance, benefit of communities, and at all levels. So these objectives, if you look at, are opportunities for everybody to engage. This creates the space for everybody to engage and contribute. We have a framework that also tells us that all these 100 people that we are together today have an opportunity again to contribute to specific areas. Some are good at political ecology, and some are good at governance. Some are social ecological resilience kind of person, and people, of course, in a transdisciplinary and in an interdisciplinary manner, people cross-cut these areas. So everybody has an opportunity to contribute to the conceptualization, further conceptualization, and the methodological innovation in the project itself. So this is another platform where we all should engage and contribute. For example, if you look at how you break down, each objective will have specific activities. And this is just an example. If we look at objective 1, which is co-producing knowledge and V2V, you can stretch it across 1 to 3 years, and you see what are we going to do. Of course, we start with a comprehensive assessment of vulnerability and viability in the context of each of these countries, and in the context of the global small-scale fisheries, V2V. It will include rapid community-based scoping studies, which the country teams would be actively doing in collaboration with other collaborators, international collaborators, and the Waterloo team itself. So here is an objective, here is an opportunity the objective provides to engage in specific activities, and that's the space that we can further hone and create for people to engage and contribute. The second one is looking at the governance structure itself. We are a large group of people. Of course, we need to manage ourselves, but we also need to manage it in a way that it meaningfully contributes to the, to achieve the goals of the project itself. So I'll just briefly touch upon the project governance. I know this is a busy slide, and this is not a new, slide for anyone. You have seen this as part of the project, proposal. We have created 3 governance layers. One is, of course, at the country level. The other one is at a thematic level, where we want to pitch our work and support each of those objectives. And then the third one is the overall management and coordination level. And it is necessary because of the nature of the project and the scale of the project itself. I'll break it down into those three layers. So let's take first the country or regional network level, which is the core foundation of our work, because we are going to be significantly present in those places where the small scale fisheries operate, and start to kind of look at the core issues in vulnerability and viability. So as you can see, each country has a team, and that's the bulk of so most people are connected to these countries, and you can see that each country has co-leads or co-country coordinators, and then each region, Asia and Africa, eventually will have a regional team led in rotation by different countries. So that's the bulk of it. So anyone who is at a country level is part of the country team, and therefore part of the responsibility of contributing to that space and to the issues within that particular space. Of course, that's not standalone, that is connected to the other levels. The other level is again thematic groups. So the country teams and the members of the country team are connected to the thematic layer. So the co-applicants, collaborators, partners, not only at the country level, but elsewhere, because we have a number of significant people who are not based in the countries, but very, very connected to the issues that we are working on. So those people would be then members of the working group. So we have 5 working groups, 4 working groups are linked to the 4 objectives, and the 5th one is knowledge mobilization. The key point I want to focus here is that this is another layer of space that each of us are going to be joining and contributing and working, and so that's another space. And then, of course, there are two co-leads. You see names there, but when we put in the proposal, we had some discussion, but we have not talked to each of those names that you see. So we're still negotiating. We're still talking to these people. So you will see some changes in the names as we go forward. And then, of course, the third layer is the management and coordination layer, which is about how do you run the project. Of course, it is again not standalone, because all the two layers that I talked about are connected. So if you quickly see who are the members in there, so the country team leads, the working group leads, and other representatives from those two layers are members in those different committees and places there in there. So there is a project support, project steering committee. There is a project management team. We have a project coordinator. Simori is already here. So all these people then from the country level to the working group level then join and start to contribute at the project management level. So it is a very interconnected, very decentralized governance system that we have set ourselves for, and that's the core kind of governance. Again, the gist of this project governance structure is that everybody almost has a role in each of those layers. Of course, some are rotations and some are more, ongoing basis, but everybody has a role. So everybody is connected to each of those layers. The third space that I see that we all are going to be actively engaged, of course, I already talked about it, are these case studies, because these are connected to our objectives. Of course, the way they are laid out, you will not see all these working groups getting functional in the beginning. Some would come into effect immediately. For example, the iAdapt working group, which would start to look at iAdapt and the case studies and start to kind of do training programs, workshops, so that we all are on common ground in terms of understanding what is this common framework that we are going to work on. So there will be a lot of activities. Of course, then the synthesis group will come in. Once we have information, case studies ready, we start to kind of actively get into the V2V information system, capacity building and knowledge mobilization. So there is a time frame through which these working groups would get functional and come into effect. And because it is so staggered, the time when these groups are going to be active, it provides an opportunity to all of us to then join and contribute to this. We'll have some principles around how do we join, how many can one become a member of all of these 5, or 2 is enough. So we'll talk about all of those things as we go forward in implementing the project. But the key again here is that there are different platforms that are available and can provide the space and opportunity for all of us to engage and contribute and help progress towards achieving the goals. The third is our role in working with the most valued members, our students and our highly qualified personnel. And this is a CERC term that we all use, but this is mostly postdoc and research associates and early career scholars. So this is again a massive task. If you look at the proposal again, we are going to be working with a few dozen students over the life of the project itself. So we have a role in training and mentoring, and we claim in the project proposal that we have 3 generations of scholars that are here and a rich tradition of working together, knowing each other, building relationships. And we want to continue that into future. And one of the point of continuation is that we want to engage with students and HQPs in training and mentoring, and therefore building solid relationships for future. And that's the space I want to offer, so that we all can engage. The 5th one is a lot of things. Again, a busy slide, as you can see, but nothing new, because we have done this. This is from the project proposal. We have promised to produce a number of things, from different kinds of reports to being active on social media, to creating toolkits for policy, videos, podcasts, and working papers, organizing conferences. One of the biggest one that we would organize in future is the World Small Scale Fisheries Congress in 2026. So there's a lot of things here. And each one of these is an opportunity and a challenge for all of us to engage, all of us to work and contribute. And therefore, this is our project and we need to deliver this. Of course, we need a lot of resources to do that. And I would just lay out, where we are. We need funds and resources, for this partnership. This partnership is worth 7.3 million. Of course, material aspects are only one. Money is only one part of this project. It requires much more than money to be successful. But if you look at the resources, actual material resources that is available, it's 7.3 million. Where does it come from? It comes from CERC, of course, the main funding agency. 2.5 million comes from CERC for an 8-year project for a group that is already 100 people. But a significant contribution, part of this 7.3 million comes from all of us, all of you, all of us. So this contribution is, of course, 4 million in both kind and cash, and it comes from almost everyone that is part of the project. Waterloo, being the host institution, has contributed $0.8 million to this 7.3 million. So it is a collaborative project, not only because we want to do things collaboratively, but the resource allocation, the resource available is also collaboratively generated. And I want to emphasize that and say thank you to everyone that is part of this project, because you bring in material resources to make this project successful. And of course, quickly, I know I'm running out of time, but I will finish in a few minutes. The contributions that all of us have made as institutions, as collaborators, as partner organizations or co-applicants, is committed for student support and training, is committed to research, actual real on-the-ground research, data and use of networks, knowledge mobilization and capacity building activities, travel, in-kind support in terms of office, accommodation when students visit, laboratory space, and other kinds of in-kind support. Hosting conferences, workshops, and meetings. And some also include paying real salary to their staff, institutional staff, to do work for the V2V and field research and technical support. So there is a wide range of areas where these contributions are already committed. So that's a great slide to look at and see, people are already contributing to all of these different components of the project, which would eventually contribute to the goals of the project. The 2.5 million from CERC is dedicated to this following items. And it is in the budget again, so there is nothing new that I'm talking about. About 28% of the 2.5 million is dedicated to students, because CERC puts real emphasis on working with students, supporting students, and creating future generations that can take off and continue this kind of projects beyond the 8 years. And 28% is dedicated to students in terms of stipend, salary, and doing their studies. 31% is dedicated to HQP, which includes, of course, postdocs and, of course, in the project manager, project coordinator, and other research associates and other kinds of HQPs that would engage in the project itself. So that is 31% of the. We have reserved for travel and subsistence for all of us, including the students, 31%. So that would be broadly. For example, academic and policy conference attendances, doing the research activities, and number of series of project meetings that will keep us together. So we have reserved funds for that. 31% goes to that, and there is a number of other expenses, and these budget items come from CERC budget. So this is something that comes from CERC. So we're following that, and then 10%. actually comes from other expenses, and that includes a number of activities. That includes knowledge mobilization. That includes how do we publish in open access forums and pay the fee, online meetings and webinars. So one of the examples is today. We'll be creating, it's already there, conceptualized well, a V2V fellows program where each one from these different places and countries and institutions can be able to visit each other, and the project would support that. We need to put in place the specific procedures, rules, and policies with regard to that. But we have a V2V fellows program to make sure that we interact not only through meetings and conferences and all, but also spending more time in each other's places to the extent possible to learn and to contribute. And of course, there is an annual V2V Field School that would start as soon as COVID is over, where we can bring our students, graduate students and HQPs to train them in various aspects of V2V. And that would continue on an annual basis. And we have created reserved resources for that. With all of those great plans in place, and being in a COVID pandemic situation, we have to change our plans. So I've just listed a number of things, to give an idea what are we going to do in the next several months or maybe a year or so. We will have a series of meetings with each one of you. So starting with country coordinators meeting, 12 meetings that is already scheduled throughout July to start the thinking and planning process at the country level itself. So, and talk about resource allocations, talk about other things. Then we'll have country level meetings. We will have country level research plans and budgets ready, because we need that in order to put in place the formal agreements that is required by the Office of Research, so that we can move forward, the ethics process and all of those things. So the paperwork, the procedural work, the administrative work. So that will help us MOUs, sub-awards, and agreements to be put in place with each of the partner institutions. So resources can be made available. Graduate student recruitment, HQP recruitment, that would be then undertaken by each one of you, because you need students to work at your own places. All country coordinators workshop sometime in fall to talk about admin, financial and project management and research activities. So once we have the country level meetings, we'll have all country level coordinators meeting, planning meetings with international partners and collaborators. We have a lot of people I already mentioned that are not based in these countries, but have a lot of rich experience and background in V2V. So we will connect with each one of them. And then we will have meetings with the working group. Then working groups would start to get activated, and then ensure all of your participation into the work group. And we're hoping sometime in early fall or August that would take place. And then hopefully early next year or so, a methods training workshop from the iAdapt working group, systematic literature review and scoping, that would start sometime soon. And really hope a V2V in-person meet sometime next year post-COVID. So these are some of the activities going forward. This is not an all-inclusive list, but this is how we plan to move forward. And again, thank you very much. And I think we have a few minutes to broadly, talk about a few things that I have already presented. But it's an inception and meet and greet. So we are limited in terms of getting into real serious in-depth discussion about any of these matters, which would have been a real topic if we had an in-person meeting. But I open it up for a few minutes to invite any quick comments or observations and suggestions from you. Thank you. Please make sure you unmute yourself. Or Simar, how does that happen? Everybody can unmute themselves, or you have to unmute.
Yep, they can just unmute themselves.
Yeah. Pradeep, I am Mukhlis from Bangladesh. Do you have any theory of change for this project, or what sort of monitoring tool like result-based monitoring thing or log frame, theory of change, anything like this? And I have also another point. Um, you mentioned about the, well, maybe it is too early to ask, like partners has to or have to contribute in cash and kind. Maybe this can be afterwards we can sort out how this issue can be fixed. Um, and since we are NGOs in Bangladesh, we also need, I think maybe you need NGO Bureau clearance.
Okay.
NGO Bureau clearance because with University of Manitoba we had a project, and then with IDRC and NGO Bureau clearance was a necessity because we cannot receive money from outside without having the clearance from the NGO Affairs Bureau. But maybe these are not important at this point of time. But my first point, whether you have any theory of change or any sort of monitoring tool or framework that you will use for the project. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. So of course, the cash in kind contribution, the procedures and clearance from the Bangladesh NGO Bureau. We can talk about all of those things in the country level meeting itself. The theory of change is important, yes. So we have talked about not a theory of change, but we have talked about specific deliverables and indicators in the project proposal itself. And I agree that this needs to be further worked upon to create specific indicators of success. So as such, I cannot give you a theory of change. Of course, this is not my task in a group like this. But what I see, because when I mentioned this is a decentralized model, what I see as a theory of change is that this is something which is going to be talked about and created at the country level itself. Because we have diversity of situations. Our theory of change is now confined to the continuum that is V2V. How do you make progress from one V to the other V, and what are the indicators that can make it happen? So to that effect, we have a framework that we have developed. So I had slide number 3 where I showed that framework itself. We need to now take it to the basic country level to say, okay, within the context of V2V in this particular country, what are we going to achieve? And then what is the process? What is the logical framework for that in each of those places? And if we combine all of that, then that gives us a project level, call it ROM, call it log frame, call it, results-based management, whatever. So, or TOC. So that would then emerge. So there is, those specifics would then emerge from those discussions.
Okay, thanks.
Any other suggestions or any?
Well, maybe Prateep.
Yeah,
my name is Martin Baving, University of Amsterdam. Quick question. TBTI was, of course, a predecessor. And what is the connection between these projects and TBTI? How do you see that connection?
I think it's a good opportunity to mention it's not only, it's TBTI, of course, in terms of what we're doing, because it's small scale fisheries, it is, of course, connected to TBTI, but, I see this in multiple ways. One, we are connected to TBTI, we're connected to Dried Fish Matters, we are connected to CCRN, we're connected to Ocean Canada, some of those, larger partnership projects that are already there. So we are connected because we have got leaders from these networks as co-applicants on this project. We are also connected because a lot of us are part of those projects also. We are connected because there is a thematic link between V2B and each one of these projects that I just mentioned, and beyond that also. So the connection is not only with TBTI, but also with other projects in that sense. People think that there's a link with TBTI because of the fisheries thing. The other connection that I would like to emphasize is also the information system that we will be building. TBTI has the ISF, which is already functional, which is already collecting thousands of case studies. And so we will connect the V2V information system to that, and then continue the some of the aspects of the work that TBTI was doing to that effect, also CCR and to and other projects. So there are multiple connections here. Of course, there is a strong connection with TBTI because we have Ratana from there. We have many of us are part of TBTI, and many of us are part of So there are those multiple connections. I would request Ratana to add from TBTI about this question on connections.
Hi, Pratik.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Ishmael from Malawi. I wanted to find out, one of the outputs, of course, would be the postdocs, the PhD students, master students. At what point do teams have to start the search for these students? Will there be common criteria for across the network, or each in-country team may have to look at specifics, and those will be discussed at a later stage when we have in-country team meetings?
Yes, yeah. I mean, yes, the team meetings are coming up in June, so we would, I think, we would talk about those details in those meetings. But the project proposal already outlines, how these students would contribute, and what are the role of the students, what are the resources that is available, what are the principles of supporting the student. For example, one of the principles is each of these students are supported both by the project and also when I mentioned contribution, a part of the contribution also comes from partner institutions. So I think those specific details will be discussed in our project country project level meetings that is coming up in July.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, this is Justice. I have a couple of questions. So my first question is, how is the governance structure going to work together in terms of project work planning as well as reporting? For example, how will the work planning at the national level feed into the work planning of the regional level to the thematic as well as the global activities? Again, the reporting process, how would that be as well? And what would be the reporting requirements? That would be helpful. The other thing is about the students. Are you going to basically use existing students in these universities, or you are aiming at recruiting new students? Thank you.
Again, so some of these things would be discussed at the country level meeting, but just quick points on each of those three questions that you asked, Ismail. There are specific reporting requirements that we need to adhere to, and this is something that comes administratively from CERT. So there are timelines to it, and there are formats. There are financial reporting. There is of course other work-based reporting that takes place. The big reporting from the project is the midterm evaluation or review that takes place that would determine whether we are going forward or not. So that's a big reporting requirement, but we need to work towards that. So we will talk about those. But a number of reporting would also emerge from the work of these three layers that I talked about. So at a country level, when you come together as a team, of course, in collaboration with all of us, which are not part of the team at the country, then you create certain reporting mechanisms. How people are going to report on when the case study is being done, how people are going to report when certain kinds of capacity building or development activities are undertaken. So those specific reporting mechanisms would be specific to the countries, but there is a project level requirement that we would outline, and we will send templates and everything that is already available from SERC to us. So those are 2 levels. And the governance connection that you talked about, so the project governance are presented is for the project level itself. But those are only something that becomes successful when we implement them. So we'll have to see how the countries come together, how the regional forum is made at the Asia and Africa level, and then how they interact, what are the mechanisms. So all of those things are possibilities. That is again dependent on what kind of work is done. But we have proposed, we have a solid structure, and we have outlined the functions in some of the normative aspects of how these groups are going to function. So those connections should happen. The third one is students. Again, we talk about those things at the country level, but it's going to be, of course, students from each of those countries after being recruited, working in those countries with country institutions. So, to make it very clear, there were questions, okay, are students going to come from Canada, or we can do it? No, they are not all going to come from Canada. Each country will recruit their students and work with them at their level. But of course, there are also Canadian students that will then come, and you will be hosting them to help you with the research, at the country level. So it's going to be, flow. And of course, those students, because we have a V2V fellowships program, some of them would end up in other institutions also. So there's a 2-way flow of students, but recruitments take place at the institutional level itself. Okay, I hope that answers some of your questions.
Yeah, Pradeep, this is Manjurul. I have 1 or 2 very specific questions to you. First of all, thank you that you have given a very details on the project. Do you have any specific topics for each country, or it would be open? Because the project was some action research apart from the student. So what is the plan for you to do some action research on the ground, like in Bangladesh? Do you have any specific area of interest, or it is open?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. The specific area of interest is, what we have outlined. So, how can we understand V and the V? So how do you understand one V really, really well, and co-produce a number of things, including knowledge, so that we can move towards, the small-scale fisheries can move towards vulnerability. So that's the concept. How this will happen at the country level, again, as a deep discussion needs to take place at that level. People are interested, and people are affected by the multiple issues in small-scale fisheries everywhere. We look at east coast of Southeast Asia or South Asia. We're dealing with cyclones now, and then people, with partners in discussions, we're talking about how do you study these, cyclones that almost takes place in super cyclone every year. So how that contributes to vulnerability, and how can that be a key factor in understanding and moving towards vulnerability? You move towards, another coast and another context of small-scale fishery, the issue changes. So those multiple issues then are topics of study or research for us as part of this. So I would again say, I'm not being political here to say, okay, you do it at the country level, but I'm just saying the diversity really calls for context-specific analysis, context-specific exploration. So somewhere it is cyclone, somewhere it is migration, somewhere it is water quality, somewhere it is industrialization, climate change. So there are multiple things. And I will give you a quick example. There are 5 or 6 students that will again speak, we're running out of time again. That is trying to focus on different things. One student is looking at V2B and climate change, V2B mangroves, V2B water quality, V2B tourism. So there are multiple topics that people are interested. So I would again see that, okay, within the broader framework, within the broader B2B conceptualization, how can we look at the nitty-gritties of the issues that are affecting small-scale fisheries in each of these sites and also globally. Of course, COVID is here, so we have already a big discussion and motivation to include, and people are interested to study how this kind of pandemic, which comes unwarranted, affects the level of vulnerability, and therefore can affect majorly how we move towards viability. So yes, multiple issues, multiple contexts needs to be looked at in the context specific. I would like to move on to the next agenda, and I'm sorry I'm not cutting off the discussions.
Yeah,
But I'm
before
also aware of.
before you move on, I have one question on the budget, and if you may allow me, the issue here is that looking at the kind of work we want to do, it's quite huge, and I feel we are quite ambitious looking at the budgets that we have. But like you've said, a lot of the partners and collaborators would bring some resources to it. I saw the allocation in terms of some budget lines, but do you also have allocation in terms of country or regional level? Thank you.
Yeah, the budget items I talked about, each one of them is for the entire project, which includes all the activities, which includes all countries. So when I said student, this is budget for all students everywhere in the project. So does that clarify your question?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm
Yeah.
sure at the country level, then the details of these things would come up. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. So that would be very specifically discussed at the country level, because we can't move forward without we have a planning, a plan, research plan, and a budget for each of those countries. Okay, I would now move on to the presentations from our country coordinators. Each country will have roughly 2 minutes or something to briefly introduce their team and say a few things about the status of V2B or the case study or something from the. So I'm going to start inviting Ghana first from Africa to take you 2 minutes to introduce your country team.
Yeah, so hi, Prateep and all. Greetings from Ghana. I'm Dennis Aheto. I'm the director of the Center for Coastal Management, also the Africa Center of Excellence in Coastal Resilience. And I'm happy to introduce our team. I'm standing in for Professor Ama, who is the director in charge of our research, innovation, and consultancy here at the University of Cape Coast. So Professor Ama and myself are co-applicants, and I'm happy to also introduce my other colleagues. You've already heard Justice Odoy. He is the one in charge of the civil society organization, Nature Today, which is an environmental advocacy NGO. And I'm also happy to introduce our other colleague, Dr. Nobu Asare, who is the head of the Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Sciences. And basically, we are going to work as a team to look at how we can contribute to this project by addressing more adaptive capacity and vulnerability in communities along the west coast of Ghana. And what we all do know is that, along our coast, there are several vulnerability issues which are impacting on our natural resources, talking about mangrove forests. We also talk about fisheries and so on. So we are going to basically look at the interplay between these two systems, particularly looking at how erosion and flooding is impacting on two key communities, which we are going to adopt. We are thinking of working closely with students at the master's and PhD levels. Depending on the budget, we are thinking of at least one master's student and one PhD student. And we are looking at the fact that we can complement with other existing projects. I'm happy to say that we do have funding from the World Bank that is trying to build the capacity of young African professionals across the sub-region. And so this is also an opportunity we'll be floating around colleagues who are on this platform. So we are training students under a World Bank funded program. And so we're going to use this grant as a complementary funding to provide additional resources to support research in this field. And so on the basis of this, I'm happy to introduce our team, and we are very happy to be part of this wonderful consortium. We look forward to success of this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dennis. That was wonderful. So we'll move on to Malawi now.
Hello. Hi, Pratip and everyone. This is Ishmael Kosam. I'm currently working with the University of Malawi, and I'm the Dean of Applied Sciences. And happy to join all of you on this dream that we want to realize. In our team, we have also Dr. Friday Njaya, who is the Director of Fisheries in the Ministry of Agriculture here, and I'll give him a minute or so, maybe shortly, just to also talk. But our case is based in the southern part of Malawi, where we are looking at Lake Chirwa Basin and its communities, which is basically a Ramsar site, so to say, and it's characterized by several other vulnerabilities because the fisheries as a resource is under pressure, high population, rural poverty, and all these other climate change and coordinated management, which are affecting the livelihoods of people who depend on the wetland. But also there are losses of species, conflicts over use, which, and therefore we want to involve also other partners such as local leaders, and as my colleague mentioned, also involve the students and maybe other partners who are working in the area on how we can maybe achieve viability of the people around and the resource that is at the Chirwa Basin. But on the CSO side, we also have Madalo Samati, and in our team we also have another experienced guy, Steve Donda, who also be part of the team. And maybe briefly, also Friday Njaya, if you're online, you can just briefly talk.
Friday, you need to unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Thanks, Ishmael. Just for 30 seconds, just to describe the ecosystem that is also a transboundary. We are looking at some conflicts between or amongst the fishers from Malawi, and the other side is Mozambique. Also to add that we'll be having action research with the community. I think that will be one of the outputs as I elaborated in the framework. This is a case that is also following another project, what we call the defragmenting African natural resources, what we call DAMA. And in that particular project, we had several scientists from different backgrounds. So this will be more relevant to the case that we have now, and more we'll be talking next month when we have the in-country case to case. Thank you very much.
Thank you. May I invite Nigeria now? I'm not saying names because I have Confused which side who's going to speak. Yes.
Thank you. It's afternoon in Nigeria here, and a pleasure to introduce the Nigerian team. I'm Akintola Shehu Latunji, a professor of fisheries. I'm currently the head of department of the fisheries department, Lagos State University. Well, I've been myself and Pratib and many others on this group have been together with TBTI. So still continue the work we've been doing on TBTI, trying to look at issues concerning the fisheries, the small-scale fisheries in Nigeria. In the team too is Kafayat Adetun Fakoya. She's a senior lecturer and a fishery biologist. The scientist has crossed into also gender. Then we have, those are the academics in the group. Olajumoke, Dr. Olajumoke Akeode, she's not here. She is the executive director of Center for Ethics and Sustainable Development. She will bring on board issues of gender equality, equity, and social inclusion. They have Dr. Aliyu Hamza Dagalan, who is a top guy with the National Boundary Commission, and who is also a senior officer. So he will be helping with issues of space, incursion into space and all that. And they have Ayorin Dekapo, is with the Cooperation Information Network Advanced Space Technology Application Laboratory. Is currently a PhD student in the department. He will be able to help with issues that had to do with data, satellite-based remote sensing and geographic information system technology of natural management of resources. The country, Nigeria, have a lot of water types working from the brackish, the marine, and of course the freshwater system. And of course, the vulnerability now include seasonal flooding, aquatic weed invasion, such as the sea, the sargassum, the water hyacinth, and then, of course, all of these have impacted on catches. Then we have the climate change. Nigeria is, as most of us on the platform this morning, we know Nigeria is an oil-producing nation, so it suffers from oil spillage. Fisheries suffer from oil spillage. There's the competition for space. The industrial fisheries still making incursion into areas that have been legally considered for small-scale fisheries. So we have access issue, we have coastal development issue, then we're also impacted by the sea rise, and then risk and resiliencies from the fishery community. We are also working on some projects, some already on grant. We are dealing with the value chain being sponsored, funded by FAO. The university is the National Partner Institute. So we'll see how we bring this on board. We also have some proposals which hopefully would have come to fruition by the end, by the time we move to conclusion of this V2V. It's our pleasure to be a member, and we look forward to develop a more concrete plan when we meet for the country level. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Akintola. I invite Senegal now. Senegal, Aliu, are you presenting or?
Oh, he is just joining again. So I disconnected with him. Yep.
Or maybe we move on to Tanzania and then come back to Senegal.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Paul Onyango. I always like referring to myself as a vulnerable fish, small-scale fisher working in the university. It's nice to see all of you. It's nice to see very gold and good friends. Again, we meet here from V2V. But I will just briefly talk about the Tanzanian case. First, the team comprises of several people. We have within the team Batuli Yaiha, who is also working at the University of Dar es Salaam, but based in the the Zanzibar Marine Institute of Science Institute, IMS, Institute of Marine Sciences in Zanzibar. We have Joseph Ruma, who works for Tanzania Fisheries Research Institute, based in Mwanza in the Lake Victoria. And we have Leticia Bigeo, who is also Research Institute. And then we have a representative from one NGO, and then some district fishermen from the district in the specific area that we're going to work in. So our case is based on the largest lake in Africa, and that is Lake Victoria. We have, however, chosen one of the gulfs, which is a very rich fishing area. But this area is actually a breeding fish area, and it is closed during the rainy season to allow the fish to breed. But we see a number of fishermen fishing in this area all year round. But it has a very good and very sizable Nile perch, which attracts the fish. But the size of the Nile perch is also very conducive and relevant for the fish processing. Mm-hmm. But we also have the small pelagic, the famous dagar, the small pelagic, which is a delicacy, not only in Tanzania, but across Africa. The main issues in this area, or the main challenges that are in this area, is that there's a commercialization of the fisheries. Nile perch is commercialized, but we have seen catches declining for some time, a decade or so. We have also had that small-scale fishers get controlled or influenced. The activities are influenced and dictated by industrial fish processing, and that is in the market chain. The industrial processors actually dictate terms within the fishery. And then we also have an issue of weak governance. The key vulnerabilities that we are focused on here in this particular place is that the processing establishment, through their agents, dictating terms in the market, in the trade, in the trade of the fish. So the agents set up the prices, they provide fishing equipment and gears, and make fishers dependent on them for the life of the gears and equipment. We also have an increased IUU, which has jeopardized, in a way, food security in the local population. Then within the community, there is some the key implementing partners we have invited to work with the beach management units, which I am told from the ministry that are currently also being transformed into fisher cooperative societies. And then we have the district fisheries officers. We also have the Tanzania Fisheries Research Institute, who we shall be working with in this particular area. This is just to give you a brief introduction on the case study that we intend to take in Tanzania. But it's nice to see you. Pratip, now I can see you,
Yes, I can see you too. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. We move on to South Africa now.
Senegal is here. I'm ready, please.
Oh, okay. So if South Africa is okay, if we go back to Senegal and then come to South Africa. Yes, Aliu. 2 minutes, please.
Thank you very much, Pratip, and congratulations for this great, work you done with your team. So myself, I'm an anthropologist, fisheries anthropologist, director of the of an NGO called Crediti, built up in Senegal. It's a fishery NGO built up in Senegal since 1989. So briefly, as I have only 2 minutes, I would say I will talk about how specific we are compared to other NGOs. The first thing is that we are a small-scale fisheries NGO. Secondly, in contrary with other NGO, our main concern and orientation is not of economic order. We are working on issue related to justice, related to human rights in small-scale fisheries. Because most of our NGO in Africa here, in the ECOWAS region, I know, are more interested and concerned by economic-oriented issue. But as small-scale fisheries is a sector, neglected, and marginalized. There are many, political, how you say, oriented, issues. It's a very political, situation. That's the reason why we decided in developing, what we can call an alternative, expertise compared to the research conducted by the government, because public institutions are conducting research that are not neutral. They don't talk about, some issues, related to fisheries policies and so on and so on. That's why we are specific because we are small-scale fisheries. Second, we are working on issues that are, quite different from issues that used to concern, NGO. Because we think that, in the small-scale fisheries, the small-scale fishery is still very marginalized. Whatever as a very nice, speech, how you say, expressed by our policies makers, it's not recognized. And this is the reason why we find it important to continue working on such issues, in particular in a context characterized by the marginalization of social sciences. Social sciences are dominated, by biology and economy. So if you don't have, this kind of opportunity, in the frame, for example, this project V2V, in order, to make social science express itself, it will be, it will mean, most sectors that will be more marginalization for small-scale fishery. That's why our main concern is conducting research that we call in French the ingénierie sociale. We're developing a social engineering. So that is the reason why the case studies that have been accepted by V2V is very important, because it's a case studies where it's a language of barbarie in the northern part of Senegal, where converge all kinds of issues. That's as, for example, the special conflict or competition between small-scale fisheries, that is an traditional activity on one hand, and some other extractive industry like oil and petroleum and bass tourism and many kind of. If you add to that the new fishery policies that question even the right for fishermen themselves and women that are processing on the land, questioning their right to establish on the beach. That's why I can say that the V2V project came on time. So thank you very much to Pratip. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Aliu. Thank you very much. So I invite South Africa now.
Hi, everybody. I don't know if Mafa is going to talk or I've been.
You go ahead. See if you cover everything.
Okay, Mafa, you've been listening into the meeting. I've been listening to 2 meetings. So, yeah, I think that for me, what I want to add to what my colleagues around the continent added is that I think it is important to also look at more particularly what the ideas I had before COVID and now has changed a bit. So I think that it is definitely a focus on what the current state of what COVID has, the impact on COVID and the fisheries, small scale fishes, and the fact that there's been an oversupply of food, but that food is not necessarily getting to the poor people, and why is that? So I think the issues around COVID and trying to see to what extent COVID is an opportunity to look at a new form of viability, meaning a different type of economic model that would be able to work. So since the vulnerability is very much descriptive in the model of iAdapt, the iAdapt model basically gives you that systems approach of looking at the state of the issue. I think that COVID gives us that opportunity now to kind of connect to what is the new economic model that we could have for small scale fisheries. In terms of, I like the word that came out in one of the webinars in terms of localizing markets. I don't want to use food sovereignty because I think that a lot of the small scale fishers also want to export as a form of a viability. So I think that is where I would stop. I don't know if my colleague Mafa want to add, but we haven't even talked in detail. But I think for me, this is the key issues.
Yeah,
And great to see you all. Hello, everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, just to add to what Muneba is saying, just to provide context, is that here in South Africa, we continue to have problems of insecure rights for small-scale fishers, or even though there's a policy that was passed 2012, and also the continued competition with industrial fishers who still have rights in inshore resources where small-scale fishers are supposed to concentrate their activities. Then you also got the issue of creation of marine special marine special areas where communities, sometimes actually excluded from utilizing the resource inside those areas. So the use of the coast and inshore resources also for other activities such as tourism, mariculture, property development also bring about vulnerabilities for small-scale fishers. So these are some of the issues that our case will look at in terms of vulnerabilities and trying to create viability from those vulnerabilities. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you both, Moiniba and Mafa. So we will now move on to Asia and start with Bangladesh, please. And I'm looking at the time also. I don't want to cut off anyone because I myself took a lot of time in the beginning. So let's hear quickly from our partners in Asia. Bangladesh, please.
Hello, everyone. I'll try and keep it to 2 minutes because I know we're short on time. I'm just going to introduce our Bangladesh V2V team and briefly mention why we're in this project and what we plan to do. I'm Dr. Samia Salim. I'm an associate professor at the University of Liberal Arts, Bangladesh. I'm also starting my postdoc at ZMT Bremen in Germany from August. I'm one of the country coordinator, and I'd like to introduce our other country coordinator, Dr. Mahmoudul Islam from Sylhet Agricultural University, who is also doing his postdoc right now at Ocean Frontiers Institute at Memorial University in Canada. We have a number of non-academic, and we also have, we have another academic. We have Dr. Hasibul Irfanullah, who is a visiting researcher fellow at QLab, but also comes with extensive experience in the development sector. Our Other partners includes our government partner is Dr. Monjurul Hannan Khan, Additional Secretary from the Ministry of Information. And we're actively working with 3 NGO partners. We have Mohammad Shamsud Doha, who is the Chief Executive of the Center for Participatory Research and Development, CPRD. We have Dr. Mokhlis Rahman, Executive Director of Center for Natural Resource Studies, and we have Rashiduzzaman Ahmed, who's the Director of Nature Conservation Management. We're a very transdisciplinary team, and our strength lies in the fact that we have been working both at the grassroots levels with small-scale artificial fishermen, all the level to policy level as well. So, and in different capacities in the areas of climate adaptation, looking at issues around poverty and vulnerability, livelihoods, as well as natural resource management. Additionally, Mohammadul has been part of iAdapt in some capacity in his previous project, and also with our Canadian project partner, TBTI. So in Bangladesh, we are looking at a number of 3 to 4 different areas, but really addressing the vulnerabilities around the fact that Bangladesh is one of the most vulnerable countries facing, as Pradeep mentioned, cyclones every year. We just, at the moment, our fishing communities are facing the triple whammy of COVID-19. We just had Cyclone Amphan, super cyclone, as well as a 65 days ban in the Hilsha fisheries. So there's a lot of issues and vulnerabilities we're facing around issues around lack of agency in the fisheries, muted political voice, equity and social justice, as well as poor market value chain issues. So our case will really, we want to focus a lot on action research, working with our partners, and in different areas, in the mangroves, in the Sundarbans, up north, in the Haur, in the freshwater system, and really looking at this, governance and conducting action research with our partners to address some of these vulnerability issues and how we can become viable. We're very pleased to be here, and thank you.
Thank you, Samir. India, please. Is that Genia?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Hello, everyone. This is Genia from the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences, Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. And first of all, thank you. I think this is an amazing opportunity for us to learn and also to contribute. So the special sites with which we will be involved in this project, I think, is mostly Eastern India, the coastal lagoons like Chilika and the deltas like the Sundarbans. So one important or good point is that we already have some existing and ongoing projects in these areas, most importantly Sundarbans. So we have this EU-India EQUI project where we are also applying this fluid governance perspective. So I think it will be an opportunity for us to kind of implement the frameworks that we will be learning from V2V in those special sites where our projects, where we are already doing some work for the last few years. And so far as theoretical approaches are concerned, we have a very good team, and we also have our mentor, Professor Priyadarshi Patnaik, who would be mentoring and guiding us in this project. So finally, what I would like to say is that I think this project would enable us to have a lot of grip on theoretical approaches, because I have already been exposed to professors and field schools and different other activities like the Chilika Field School, which is conducted every year, and we have learned a lot along with students. And also I have been personally benefited from the TBTI CLET workshop on transdisciplinarity. So I think a number of things which we had learned, now it's time for us to apply this. And finally, I think this project would enable us to kind of critically interrogate the sacrosanct binaries or boundaries like vulnerability, viability, risk, resilience, land, water. So we will be in a position to kind of, interrogate or rethink these categories, very much informed by our own empirical context. Looking forward to kind of question these boundaries and also to craft exchange flows across different actors, academia, civil society, NGOs, grassroots. And I think it's very important. This project is very important because it will help us to, to kind of make the transition smooth, this transition from epistemology to actuology. So looking forward to learn a lot and contribute. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenia. Just to quickly add, so from India, we have CIFRI, Central Inland Fisheries Research Institute, Dr. B.K. Das. Hello, Dr. Das is already here. And then Chilika Development Authority, Nirman and Views are two NGOs. So those are our partners in India, along with IIT. So thank you, Jenia. So we move on to Indonesia now.
We're connecting to them right now.
Okay.
We're connecting to Professor Inda right now.
Pratap. Hello,
Yes,
Pratap.
Yes. Okay, so we move on to Japan and come back to Indonesia. I think Inda got
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, you ready? Okay, okay. Go ahead,
Yes.
Inda, please.
Thank you for giving me a time. So sorry because I'm out of town and now in emergency I'm using my cell phone Wi-Fi. So in short, I can report it that for Indonesia we have three co-author countries, which is in Semarang we have Professor Denny, and then in Bali we have Professor Putu, and myself also in Diponegoro University. So at this moment, we have for nearby Semarang, we have a Karimun Java in Jepara, and then the other side is in Tegal, which is in the northern part in the west of Java, which is we call Karangjeruk, and then one in Buleleng in Bali. So we have three spot study area there, which is we already also at right now, we prepare for several students under bachelor, master degree, as well as for the PhD degree, trying working for the V2V project. And for your reference that for the PhD degree student, so he is Lanang, which is now already collected some of the data. And then he also just got published one paper in an international journal for his PhD degree, which is a part of it related to the V2V project. While for the bachelor student and also master student, so right now we have ongoing thesis under myself for the master student in a Karangjeruk in a Tegal. And the other side of Karimun Java, which is the junior of CIMAR. So we have several bachelor student and also one master student working in Karimun Java. So now we are trying to have say coordination, because so far in Indonesia we got barrier to go to the field due to COVID. I believe in other countries also facing the same problem. So our activity now a little bit sluggish because this COVID. However, at this moment, people now is already moved on, but of course with the protocol. Right now also I still using masker because out of the city and also contact to other person, we have to wear the protocol masker and face shield and so on. Yeah. So at this moment, we just reported very short regarding with the activities, but later I believe that we can create the other activities, and in 9 July, CIMAR already sent invitation, and we are happy to join this meeting on the 9th. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Inda. And we can see that you're speaking from a very important room there. Thank you. Move on to Japan.
Yes. Hi. Hello, everyone. This is, since we're running out of time, let me have a quick introduction. This is Inji Lee from, I'm an associate professor at Tokai University, Japan. My colleague, Professor Izumi Seki, who is also from Tokai University. Two of us will co-lead this V2V Japan team. About our team, I think the transdisciplinarity is something significant, something unique about our team. Apart from the researchers with several disciplines, including governance, community revitalization issues, processing technologies and resource science, etc. We have fishers and fishers organizations and the prefecture government in Tokai University in our team. And also, thanks to TBTI project led by Dr. Ratanajun Petty from the Memorial University of Newfoundland, Canada. In past month, we launched TBTI Japan Research Network, which will focus on small-scale fisheries research in Japan. So our V2V team will conduct research and activities in cooperation with this TBTI Japan Research Network. Yes. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, those are already great connections that you were talking about. Thanks, Inji. Malaysia, please.
Hi, my name. Hello, yeah. Hello, Prati. Hi. My name is Ilmi. Yeah. Can you hear my voice clearly?
I'm working with the University Tun Abdul Razak, Faculty of Business. I have a team of 4 organizations in Malaysia. Actually, I am a fisheries economist, and I'm working with the team from Malaysia, Department of Fisheries. We have fisheries officer from Department of Fisheries, and we have the WWF, Dr. Hilmi. He is the head of the fisheries unit, Dr. Hilmi. And we have on NGO working for the conservation of natural resources at the island. So this is named Fuji Ecotier. So we have one NGO, one Department of Fisheries, and WWF. We have 3 partners. And we have done some work in the northeast, southeast and northeast areas of the MPA. So we have done the work, and there are a lot of issues in terms of economic issues, social issues, and environmental issues in the islands. So we have done few projects for the last 10 years from the grants from the government of Malaysia. We have gotten grants from Department of Marine Park. We have got grants from Department of Fisheries, and we have managed to complete some of the research projects, and we have published some of the research outcome. So this COVID time, you know, Malaysia was affected. Now only opening from the last month. So the people are very vulnerable, marginalized in the islands because of the fishing activities and also for the tourism activities. Both activities affected by the COVID. So the fishermen cannot sell their fish in the market because of the price, and because of the so many restaurants are closed for the tourists. So because the market is not active for the fisheries at this moment. So this is a very huge problem and issues, the economic issues in most of the islands in Malaysia. So we are planning to do some of the research work, because this area are already open for the fishing activities, open for other offices, because there is no cases in the island now, and they are open for the local tourists also. So we are planning to do a very quick COVID-19 post-COVID-19 study to understand how people face the crisis during the COVID. So we are planning to do some of the research, maybe not through the face-to-face. We do some arrangements for online or some other method for the data collection. Okay, so this is our plan. But we have done a lot of work. This project is very good opportunity to synthesize and to compile all the research work we have done in the past in terms of focusing governance, focusing economic and social and environmental aspect of the small scale fisheries. And we have Dr. Hilmi in the online now. Dr. Hilmi can also say something about the project they are doing in the WWF in the different islands. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Yaji. Dr. Hilmi, if you can keep it to a minute or so. I'm really sorry to restrict this, but we are running out.
Okay, I will go as far as I can. Okay, as for our organization, WWF Malaysia, we're doing fisheries improvement project in TMP, which is in Sabah. Sabah, East Malaysia. Yeah, for the fisheries improvement project, we did in TMP, which is the largest MPA in Malaysia, because we did, this project should be done in that area because the TMP doesn't have any fisheries management plan yet, and so our intention is to strengthen the science of fisheries in the MPA and to provide the baseline for the better fisheries management. And this project also we intend to improve the livelihood of the small scale fisheries by adding value to their product and introducing new market to the fishermen and something like that. I think that's okay. That's all from me. I think. Okay.
Thank you very much. We move on to Thailand, and if I can invite Thailand representatives to say a few things.
Hi, everyone. Did you hear me?
Yes, Subala.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Because we have 2 minutes, so I will tackle to the point quickly. The Thai team composed of myself, Mahidol Universities, Dr. Thamasak from Lamkhamhaeng Universities, and Dr. Kangwan from Kasetsart Universities. And another group is the Donsak Fisher groups that in the southern Thai. So that is our proposed teaming for the time being. And the study location is in Bandon Bay, which is a semi-open bay on the southeast coast of Thailand, which over there fishery is an important factor along with the massive tourism in over provinces. Okay, and the fourth issue is that I would like to introduce about the issue facing that communities, which are not new, in fact, except the last one, which we pay attention. The first one, that communities are facing with the environmental degradations, which is basically from the land-based pollutions and also the mangrove degradations. Second one, the increasing number of fishing gears that cause a lot of decline of fisheries over there. The third one, the seasonal fluctuations as due to the climate change impact is very strong. And according to that, we get in trouble according to the transboundary impact of the coastal erosions construction. And the fourth one, we have been informed lovely about the violation of conservation rules by neighboring communities and also interference. It's interference from externals and powerful actors like the CP, private companies, for an example. So, however, as I mentioned, all the issues facing the communities, the strong point of that community that I can say that they are very strong model communities for the conservation effort. Working with the Clap Bank project, with the Department of Fisheries. And also it would be, I think it's a very strong, what to say, kind of integration or strong coordination with the government sectors up there. That is lastly that I could mention that there are some vulnerabilities, so many points, and also they have some points that could lead them to the viabilities in the futures. That's all from Thai team. Thank you.
Thank you, Soulak. That's great. So we can see a lot of energy, a lot of issues people are already talking about. How nice it would be to really jump into those case study sites and start working sometime soon. I'm really sorry we're running a bit late on time, but I think we have two more items. One is we will hear 2 minutes each from two students, and then we have the social media launch. I want to show you the first cut of the website that we have, and then we would basically finish. So we might be running 10-12 minutes late, and I request you all to stay on the call for the extra time. That's great. We heard from the countries, and that shows how deep we are into this specific SSF context and what we need to do. And we are just beginning to think of all the years that are there, and to really do some groundbreaking work in each of those contexts. I'm looking forward to that from the team. When we were writing the project proposal, there were a couple of students, graduate students in Waterloo that are working with Derek and myself. They would hear about this V2V, and they were part of all the workshops we did on V2V leading up to the proposal. So they got interested in this novel concept of V2V, and then 5 of them are actually doing their master's thesis on V2V and other issues. So they should be in the field, should have been in the field if there was no COVID, but they are just waiting to go out in the field and work, in Africa and Asia, and in different countries. So we have, been very fortunate that 2 of them have agreed to say, less than 2 minutes about graduate student perspective and the work and expectations from B2B quickly. And I first invite Maria to say a few things about V2B and graduate students and her experience.
Yes, absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Maria Battaglia, and I'm a PhD student from the Water Institute at the University of Waterloo. My research focuses on human behavior and behavioral approaches to small-scale fisheries sustainability, as well as how to transition from vulnerability to viability, and how to explore this relationship further, again, with human behavior. Examples of dynamics I've explored so far are how to reconcile the long-term benefits of sustainability with the short-term cost of day-to-day living. And in the past few months, I've also been studying the potential for transition to adaptation through information and knowledge sharing in a small island environment. The way I see myself contributing the most is by offering an innovative approach that focuses on human behavior. And my intent is to understand how fishers actually make decisions or behave, and drop the mostly neoclassical economics assumptions that fisheries policies has been resting on. So V2V couldn't have come at a better time for me, and I'm honored and excited to be part of this project. And the biggest opportunity for me is to be offer mentorships from researchers and professors, but also to collaborate with peers and build a strong network. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. I'll move on to Joyce to speak a few words about her experience and plans with V2V.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Joyce Sechi,
and I am from Ghana originally, studying here in the University of Waterloo. So my research focuses on the adaptive responses of small-scale fishers in Akweda, Ghana, to the vulnerabilities resulting from crude oil extraction. So Ghana started commercial quantities of crude oil exploitation in 2007. That was when it was discovered, and then by 2010 it started with exploitation, and then also discovered some few more fields. And there has been many issues with incursion and competition for space, as well as issues of livelihood. So my research is going to look at the impact of oil and gas on the livelihoods of fishers, their capitals, and then well-being. And I look forward to getting access to a lot of research information on already undertaken projects, and also enlarging my network and gaining broader research skills from collaborators on the platform. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Joyce. We have three more students. They are all working in different places. One in Sundarban, one in Chilika, and then another person is going to work in Ghana in almost the same region as Joyce to look at V2V and climate change influences. So thank you everyone who presented. So I move on to the website and request Simmer to send the website link to everyone. So you will receive, if you look at your chat function, you will have a link. Or you can type www.v2vglobalpartnership.org. Okay. And I'm going to flash that on the screen as well. I'm going to share the screen. So can everyone see the screen? Yeah, can someone confirm? Simmer, is it?
Yep, we can see the screen.
Great. So, I mean, we started doing some work at this, Waterloo office here, and some discussions at the project management team level where Alida and Rutana both are involved. And we thought, we need, because, we can't have an in-person meeting. So we thought maybe, there are certain things that we need to put in place. So the website came to the forefront. So this is not what is ultimately going to look like. This is a first cut of the website. We'll make it more functional, add more stuff as we go. As you can see, I'll just take 2 minutes to run through this web page. So you can see that this is our homepage, and then we have multiple things here, which is about V2V that gives us where we work, who we are, and what kind of work we are doing. There's some brief mention about the working groups. I'll take you there in a moment. We will have, we'll populate this section, which is knowledge resources. This is everything that we produce, all the knowledge and the resources that contribute to this, all the publications and everything. Capacity development, which is a big component, of course. So we'll have one section of the website containing all the capacity development activities and outcomes, and the news and information and contact. We will have a Twitter feed on the homepage itself. It was taking a lot of time, we could not do it. But before I move on, I want to recognize that Priyadarshi helped from IIT, Indian Institute of Technology, helped set up this initial draft of the website, but now we will be working on it to further fine tune it. So on the homepage here that introduces the V2V Global Partnership, we are here to support the small scale fisheries in their transition from vulnerability to viability. Then it moves on to talk about who we are, and these are all clickable, so you can click and it takes you to further information. Some areas needs to be populated again, they don't have all the information. So who we are, what do we do, and then where are we, and of course, some of the pictures would again change. This is just a first cut, as I said. And then that brings you to a set of activities and details about the V2B. So, and then these are all, clicks that you can do and then go inside. So about V2B, you click, and then this takes you to about V2B. All the information is right there. And this is something that we would be working on, because we want to bring everybody's face and a small write-up about each of the members of V2B to this webpage. Simar is already working on it, and she would be in touch with you to ask for information, ask for a headshot or something to go on the website. So she would be in touch. So all the people of website of V2B would be on this website very, very soon. And then we have the V2B here, working groups. You click that, and as I already mentioned in my initial presentation, we have all the working groups, and this would be again clickable, and you can click and then go further into each of the working groups to know more, and all the outcomes and outputs from these working groups would then be contained in this particular section. So we have I Adapt case study working group, and then the information system, transdisciplinary capacity development. This is from our field school. The picture is from our field school in Bay of Bengal last year. And then synthesis and integration for governance and knowledge mobilization. So this would be further developed, and more information would be going into each of these working groups. Go back to the home page again, and then take you to capacity development, knowledge resources, and information, news and information. These are all areas that do not have any content now. We are working on it, but if you go there, you will see coming soon. So that's the first cut of the website, and we promise, so we'll get the rest of the things done very, very soon, so that the website becomes the face of the project itself. Especially because we are so online these days. So we'll make it more functional and start to kind of incorporate people and work and plans, and everything would be on there, including a Twitter feed. And we have a Twitter account already. We have started tweeting. So anyone who is, and Simar is going to send you the hashtag and Twitter handle. So anyone who is on Twitter, please, link with our project, Twitter handle. Whenever you're tweeting, this is a quick way to know about each other's work and sound ideas to each other. And Twitter has been very effective as long as we do it responsibly. So Twitter and Facebook are two things, and we have set up other accounts, but the Instagram and all, but they are not functional yet. The plan is in fall we will see a number of students joining us. So we'll be opening up a B2B student forum, and they would then be using other social media platforms to stay connected. The idea is that all the students around the world who are part of the B2B would be interacting very, very closely and regularly. So we'll bring in those social media platforms in the coming months or so to make it a more functional, interactive project and team. So that's our social media and website. Please start using it. You will be hearing from Simar, who is going to ask you information, because yes, website is one thing, but how we can maintain quality of the website is through getting information from you. And this can be a platform for all of us to, say things, represent things on this particular website. So we'll move forward on that front very, very soon. But this is just a first cut. Okay. And that brings us to the last item on the agenda. I mean, I'm combining two next steps. I talked a few bullet points about the next steps, and also any other items that people might to add. So let's take roughly 7-8 minutes or so to conclude by looking at some of the next steps. As I mentioned, there is going to be a series of meetings, online meetings, with the intention of touching each and every category of partners and collaborators and institutions on this project. And my apologies in advance, because this is already a slow process because of what we are going through, but we are in the process of working towards having conversations and discussions, plans, and moving forward strategies with each one of you. So we'll come back and have meetings with each one of you, starting with the project coordinators meeting in July. So if anyone wants to provide any suggestions on how do we move forward, there were already great suggestions from each of the countries and the students, of course, on how do we move forward, what are the issues, and what are some of the key things that needs to be done. If somebody else, others want to make a contribution to making any suggestions, please do that in the before we conclude. And please
thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking that as like now our mobility is to a great extent restricted. So would it be a good idea not to have a drive, whether Zotero or something else, so that the reading materials and all other references, can be uploaded, and we can start reading, things and getting accustomed and familiarized to.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jenia. That's a great point. And I'll just mention, I'll take 10 seconds to just mention that. So we, the Waterloo students that are working on V2B and multiple subjects that for their master's thesis and also PhD. So we have a lit review group, V2B lit review group that the students are already working. We have already set up a Jotero V2B Jotero account. They are already doing literature review, and those are already being inputted there. So yes, very soon we are going to make it widely available to everyone, so that when you do your bit of work from wherever you are, you can start populating Jotero, and then we'll have Jotero workshops. I know our partners, Dried Fish Matters, they have a database, Jotero database workshop training next week. So we will follow those kind of directions, and then we'll bring V2B literature related things to Jotero. That's a great suggestion. Thank you. Any other suggestions on? Yeah, I know. Doing an online meeting is that you're restricted by many things, which otherwise would have happened if we are in an in-person meeting. So please feel free to say something that you otherwise may not have a chance to say. And I really apologize, because even if a lot of people spoke, so we could not create the time and space for everyone to say something that would have been ideal. But please make a suggestion, say something that you might like to say before we conclude.
Is it Professor Inda wanted
possible enough time?
Okay, yeah, Inda, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. If possible, so I saw
Inda, can you repeat? We didn't hear anything.
From Bali.
Okay, Putu, you want Putu to say something?
So perhaps you might have give a chance to talk Pak Putu to say something regarding with Pak Putu. You have anything to say? Oh, Putu Astawa there with the suggestion from Indonesia.
Okay, Putu, please, yeah.
Yes,
any
thank you.
suggestions on moving forward?
Yeah. Hello everyone. This is a great time to me to hear from everyone the experience about in each country. We are now in Bali, and yeah, Professor Indah already present that what the condition in the project for that support to V2V. That's now Bali already getting better to open that tourism there to support this project. I think, yeah. One of the place it already said to Prof Indah, there is a Singaraja area. This is the central of the the tourism for the marine tourism. This one, okay. Just I like to say that's what. Thank you for the time for to inform this a little bit. Yeah, Prof Indah already. Thank you, Bob and Petra. Pratap, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Putu. Thanks very much. So, anyone else? So if you have a point, a suggestion on moving forward, we have a list, but anything that you would like to say in the context of the project, please add.
This is Imdad. I just want to bring up one issue in terms of project management with COVID-19 pandemic. It's very difficult to plan in a rigid way when things are quite uncertain in terms of timeline, travel restrictions and institutional opening up, opening up from lockdown. So what are you in terms of adopting these planning tools, and how are you going to adjust? What are the thoughts in your mind?
Thank you, Imdad. So that I think we are. The stage of the project supports what we can do. Because we are just starting, and a project at this scale takes a lot of time before we put our foot on the ground. Actually, so we can't just start even case studies because we are bound by ethics protocols. We are bound by agreements to be signed before resources are transferred to partner organizations, and that all takes time. We all know about this, and of course, from the on the thematic side or the topics side, one of the key initial activities is review, of systematic review of literature. That will lead to a scoping kind of study. So that gives us a chunk of time to stay online and work remotely on all of this. On one hand, setting up mechanisms and protocols and procedures that can help us in doing the financial and project management things, but also on the research side, stay online, but still do really rich analysis of literature, because that is one of the things as far as objective one goes. So that gives us, my rough estimate is that gives us about a year time to do these things, and these are important steps to follow. So the timing of the project helps us to situate ourselves in the pandemic situation and still do a lot of work that is required, obviously required, and at this stage of the project. But we need to also reflect, given the scale of the project, in terms of what if this thing continue? What do we do? When can we do actual research? When can we meet the communities, and attend meetings without a mask? Inda, I'm referring to you. So those kind of things. We need to be reflective in terms of looking beyond that 1 year when we can comfortably be online and do a lot of productive work. We need to look at. So when we talk to these country teams in July, and then discussions with collaborators and other international partner organizations, one agenda that we want to follow is, so let's look at a chunk of time. Let's look at not 1 year, let's look at 3 years, okay? And can we make a specific plan for a year and then broad plans for 3 years? And that will give us not only what activities we are going to do, but that will also give us what resources we need, and we can plan that. And that will take us to the financial management, resource allocation, and all of that. But also at the same time, it will give us a 3-year perspective of everything about the project. Of course, it's going to be flexible in that way. It's not going to be rigid. And that takes us to the midterm, actually. So that's another timeline we're looking at. So we are looking at a stretch of time and different types and different, work at different speed, I would say.
Yeah, thank you, Pradeep, for arranging this. I have one suggestion, if that's the case. I think to keep the spirit up, not the logistics and nitty-gritty things, but just the team spirit, this global community that we are meeting today. I think periodic, this kind of meeting will be very, very helpful. Not very frequently, but maybe in every 3 months or 6 months. That's up to you. But I think that's very, very critical to keep in touch ourselves, and meeting this way, I think extremely helpful.
Sure. Thanks, Amdad. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there is going to be series of small group meetings with different groups of members and people. But then the plan is to bring all coordinators together, and of course, in a few months, bring everybody together to talk about V2. Yeah. No, thanks. That's a great suggestion. Maybe one last suggestion before we finish this. Okay, if not, then I would like to conclude this by saying again, thank you very much. I mean, this has been a wonderful journey over the past few years, and I'm no one to speak about this because we have such wealth of knowledge and experience in this meeting. With people that have laid this kind of project really successfully. Not 1, 2, or 3, but multiple. Partnership projects, Tony Charles, Derek Johnson, Ratana Chungpagdi, and Rashid Sumaria. These are all, projects that are already in process. Some of them are just getting to a finishing line. So we have learned a lot from all of those. And we have also learned from other things that people have done in their respective areas. This has been, a relationship building experience other than, just putting in a proposal. And we want to continue this. We want to continue this on the same line, So how can you build relationships around the world, and that relationship continues to produce, good things about small-scale fisheries, help, the situations that we are all talking about. So I look forward to that, and great suggestions. Thank you very much, everyone, and I look forward to working with all of you and coming back with more information, more plans, and more, bullet points about, how to do in future, and how to progress and proceed. So you will hear from us very frequently. But until then, goodbye, and thank you very much.
Sorry, before we all go, I just wanted to take a quick picture of everyone to commemorate this meeting. So if you can just go ahead and start your video, that would be great, and you'll be included in the picture.
Yeah, thank you, Pradeep, and thanks to all.
Thanks, Pradeep.
Thank you, Pradeep.
Thank you, everyone. Keep safe, and see you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. For a few seconds, I'm going to take a few pictures.
Bye.
Goodbye. Professor Simran, bye.
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 Thank you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye, Ola.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.